You know, let's talk about something that I think a lot of us really struggle with, often in silence. It's that feeling, right? That feeling of being pulled in two completely different directions.
I mean, have you ever really felt like no matter how hard you try, no matter what you do,
It's just never enough. You know the feeling. You pour yourself into your career. You're hitting your goals. But then there's this guilt, this spiritual void. You feel distant from Allah. So you switch gears. You focus completely on your Deen. But then the anxiety creeps in. You feel like you're falling behind in the world, like you're not keeping up.
but what if I told you that you are never meant to choose? What if this entire struggle, this feeling of being torn apart, isn't the path we were meant to walk at all? So, in this explainer, we're going to break down what's really happening. We'll start with what I call the burnout cycle. Then, we'll look for Quranic balance, get into 3 super practical steps you can start using today, and we'll wrap up with a really important idea: sincerity over perfection. All right, so first up, let's just put a name to this feeling. It's a cycle. And honestly, just recognizing that you're in it, that's the first real step to breaking free. This is what I mean by the pendulum swing. It's a real thing. On one side, you're all in on your career, your studies, whatever it is, but that guilt just kind of follows you around. You feel distant from Allah. So you swing to the other extreme. You dive deep into acts of worship. But then you get that pit in your stomach. You're anxious about deadlines. You feel like you're falling behind everyone else. And that feeling right there, that's burnout. But here's the absolute key, and I really want this to land. Burnout is the result of imbalance. It is not the result of Islam. This faith was never, ever meant to exhaust you. It was meant to lift you up, to elevate you. Okay, so if it's about imbalance, how do we fix it? Well, the answer is in a pretty big perspective shift. We have to move away from thinking of Deen and Dunya as a conflict and start seeing them in alignment. And our guide for that, of course, is the Quran itself. Just listen to this verse. It says, "Seek through what Allah has given you the hereafter, but do not forget your share of the world." Think about that wording for a second. It doesn't say abandon your share or ignore it or that it's bad. It says don't forget it. It's a clear instruction to engage with the world, to use the blessings He's given you, all while keeping your eyes on the ultimate prize, the hereafter. And that right there is the core idea. It's about alignment, not abandonment. It's not about hiding away from the world or becoming obsessed with it. It's about making your worldly life, your job, your family, your studies, actually serve your spiritual purpose. And listen to this hadith from the Prophet, peace be upon him, because it's so powerful. He said, "This religion is easy, and no one makes it hard upon himself except that it overwhelms him." You see, this is like a diagnostic tool. If you feel constantly overwhelmed by your religious practice, that's a sign. It's a sign that you might be making it hard on yourself, and that's not the intended path of ease. I mean, look at the Prophet himself. He was the perfect example of this balance. He was a leader, a husband, a father, a friend, and the messenger of God. He handled worldly affairs with the absolute deepest spiritual connection. His life is the proof. Burnout isn't some badge of honor or a sign of piety. Real, true balance, that is the sunnah. Okay, so we've talked about the why, we get the principle, now let's get into the how. Let's build a practical framework that you can actually use in your life. It really comes down to 3 things. First, shifting your intention. Second, prioritizing what's truly required before adding extras. And third, creating what I call energy cycles instead of getting stuck in guilt cycles. All right, step 1 is all about your niyyah, your intention. This is a total game changer. Stop seeing your life as a bunch of separate boxes. Think about it. If your intention behind your work is to provide for your family, to be a good steward of your talents, then your 9 to 5 just became an act of worship. Your studies, to gain knowledge that can help people, become worship. Even just going to the gym to take care of the body Allah gave you, that becomes worship too. Second, and this is huge, prioritize the fadl, the absolute non-negotiables, before you start piling on a million extra things. So much of our burnout comes from trying to be a spiritual superstar overnight. Just focus on the foundation, your 5 daily prayers, on time. Maintain a simple, consistent connection with the Quran, even if it's just a few minutes a day. Remember, small, consistent good deeds are so much more beloved to Allah than these huge, intense bursts of activity that you just can't keep up. And the third step is to understand that balance isn't static, it's dynamic. Life comes in seasons, right? During finals week or when you're launching a huge project at work, your capacity for extra worship is naturally going to be different. And that's okay. The goal isn't to be at peak spiritual performance 24/7. The goal is to protect your core. You have to adapt. God created us with limits. This is all about creating cycles of energy that work with your life, not cycles of guilt that work against it.
Okay, let's bring this all home with one final, really crucial thought about what the true goal of all this really is. So I want to leave you with the question, and be really honest with yourself. Is this burnout I'm feeling, is it coming from Islam itself, from what the faith actually asks of me? Or is it coming from the unrealistic expectations I've put on myself? You know, the pressure to look a certain way, to compete with others, to chase some kind of perfect image? Because here's the ultimate truth, the thing that can set you free. Islam does not demand perfection. It never has. What it asks for is your sincerity. It just asks for your genuine, honest effort within your capacity in whatever season of life you happen to be in. And that is a goal that frees you from the trap of burnout. It's what allows you to finally find peace, both in your faith and in your world.